Welcome back to Steel Division Normandy 44. So today we are playing on Omaha. We are the Allies and we are coming in as the 2nd Infantry. We're doing a 4v4 and well, this game has some pretty interesting results. I was quite surprised the turnout of this game. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. We'll speed up the very beginning. Of course, I end up taking the left flank. As you see, I've already moved us over there. And our allies here are spread out across the center and right flank. So right off the bat with the 2nd Infantry, I am bringing in 2 units of Marauders. These are the missile recon, or not missile, anti-tank recon. I turn the guns off on these guys because I found that if the ever infantry run by and they engage them, well, it's over before it even started. They die pretty fast to other infantry. So right here we have a it's a heavy machine gun, but it's not the heaviest machine gun that the 2nd Infantry get. We have a unit of assault infantry with the napalm. We have 2 units of rifleman infantry, a 60mm, an 80mm, and 2, I believe, 57mm anti-tank guns, and 1 M3 command. Now in phase A, I don't have any leaders for infantry, so this game was the first time I tried it. I tried using M3 commands for my leadership bonuses instead of infantry, because the infantry in phase A, or the leaders in phase A, they're okay. They don't have any anti-tank, and so of course I don't really like them too much, and their anti-infantry capabilities are poor at best. So here we are advancing up right away. We're going to basically be we're going to try to push into this tree line and just kind of cover this whole set of tree lines. We end up, let's see, where do we drop? We'll keep it on 2x speed just to keep this video a little bit shorter. We end up dropping our mortars right around here for one, and then right around here for the other. And I try to do a little bit of a better job micromanaging those, but it doesn't turn out too well. The phase A planes we're facing off against Nuevos and Sergeant North Korean, and they're both playing the 91st, and their phase A aircraft did a number on my mortars. So anyways, we get our Marauders up into this tree line and their guns are off. We have our 57mm gun here, and right away our M1919 medium machine gun, I'm guessing that's what it is, starts opening up on some of this infantry. Mortars, 60mm, start also dropping some rounds on them and immediately get them pinned. My 107s are firing on a unit of infantry over here that I saw because I do not want them running into my Marauders. So on this right flank here, we're putting some, I believe these are the assault infantry that we're going to go ahead and pop out and move into this tree line here. Yep, that's right. And rifles and another 57mm gun, which has a pretty decent line of sight. Now, because I am fighting someone who very heavily uses infantry, it actually causes me a little bit of problems with these 57mm guns. They don't get a whole lot of action in this game, but we'll see what happens with them. And right away, ME-109, my 107 is done, and he gets lucky and catches my, what is this guy? Oh, the M7DD. I brought him in to try him out, and he actually does some pretty decent work, as you'll see a little bit later on. So I'm moving my 60mm mortar over, and I'm going to try and keep this unit of infantry pinned. Right here we've got my M3 command giving veterancy bonuses to these rifles and the 57mm gun, and I believe these guys are just in range to catch it as well. Again, early game, you can see we're also getting naval bombarded. That one really hurt because he ends up dropping all 3 of them right here, and I really need to be holding this position. I probably should have tried to fall back earlier and just, well, I don't know. If I would have fallen back, he could have pushed up with these infantry pretty quickly, and that would have caused me some pretty big problems. I bring in an anti-aircraft gun right here to hopefully hold off some of his airplane spam, because I know it's coming. Unfortunately, I drop it in a poor spot. I put it right here, and it won't be able to see past these trees for the first aircraft that comes in. The naval bombardment gets a unit of infantry and my anti-tank gun, so that's rather unfortunate. I did bring an M3 command up and snuck him in there. You can see he did drop. He had to have dropped all three of them in the same spot because this lasts way too long otherwise. First aircraft comes in, gets my 60mm mortar, and my Bofors doesn't even fire a shot because, well, I have him in the wrong spot. But fortunately, I brought in another 107, so I drop him down and start using that. I have another machine gun unit, 1919s, and a anti-tank gun, another 57, that I bring in and drop over here. I do push his, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I took out his Pack 40 that was over here with my 107, which worked out quite nicely. I'm pushing up here in the center with some rifles and some marauders. I'm trying to gain as much ground as I can here. And then of course I have my assault marines that I'm trying to push up as well. Finally, I get some shots in, but unfortunately my Bofors does not stop his ME-109 from putting a shot in on him and pinning him. And then my 107, of course, is still doing some work, keeping infantry units in this tree line and this tree line pinned down. So I'm back to pushing with these rifles. This assault squad, I pushed back into the trees, and in a little bit here, I actually turn off the guns for it. I don't quite remember when I did it, but I do turn off the guns for it pretty soon. So we have a pretty decent coverage on the right flank against infantry with the assault squads. Over here I'm bringing up a T-30, which these are pretty decent, but if the enemy brings any level of heavy tank in, you need to be really close, so you gotta play careful with them. Once again, you guys can see I'm getting hit with a naval bombardment that does some serious work. I pulled these units back. Fortunately, my 1919 medium machine gun is pinned, and my marauders, I was able to push them up a little bit further. I do end up being able to destroy one of his infantry units there, and I get this other one here. I'm able to take them out pretty quickly and gain control of this. I think I get up to this area. We'll see in a second here. Left flank, not much is going on. We have our M7 over here, as well as our marauders, and then our 57mm gun with a decent line of sight. We get hit with another naval bombardment. As you can see, he is just doing work with those things and takes out my anti-aircraft gun. But I had just brought in an M15, so fortunately I still have that. Mortars take a hit, as well as my 57mm that was pushed back, so it doesn't allow me to put them back in the tree line, or at least the 57 for just a second. But now you can see I'm moving back up. Over here we've got my ally, who is being pretty heavily hit with some more infantry, and he's holding his own, so it's not going too bad for him. Right here we are now starting to lose the ground that we had just taken, so I did end up taking that tree line, but I get pinned down here. He has a couple machine guns that are doing some work, but as you can see, this M7 is helping out significantly. Now this is where I see him pushing up these Jaegers, so I pull them back, or I pull the M7 back, and I do an attack move over to the side here. No, it wasn't him that brought in the aircraft yet. But anyways, back to the M7, puts some work in, pins him down, and shortly he falls him back. So he did a pretty good job of micromanaging some of his infantry and definitely kept more than a few of them alive. So he's pinned down pretty heavily in this tree line, but so am I. I push up with this Ranger Assault Squad. They're down to 2 men, and then they get pinned, which is rather unfortunate. His aircraft are coming in and doing some pretty serious work, but I am pushing up quite a bit of infantry, another mortar, an anti-tank gun. Pushed them up a little too far, I think. I probably should have dropped them off back here and maybe walked up, but, well, you know, it happens. So he still has a really strong hold in this tree line. I should have had a little bit more in terms of artillery before I made this push, but oh well, you know, mistakes were made, and I dropped this guy and completely forgot about him, which is really unfortunate. So he's got artillery back here hiding right there, and then of course a Stug 3 So he's very, very capable in terms of, or he's doing a very, very good job of keeping these units pinned and making it really hard for me to push into this tree line. So everything that I just took, I'm slowly starting to lose. The M7DD is doing fairly well. I did have to hide him, but I was able to sneak my Marauders up at the same time, so that kind of helped. I've got a pretty good vision of some of his units over there. At this time in the game, though, I'm pretty focused on this side of the battlefield. Over here, in a few minutes, I realized that these Ranger Assaults are they Ranger Assaults? They are shooting with their machine guns, and I'm not super happy about that. So when I finally do pay attention to this, I turn them off, and, well, you'll see what happens shortly. So over here, they've got my rifles leader pinned down. Most of my other units are pinned down, and this is not going too good. Rifle leader is dead. And then I have another rifle leader here that just got pinned. I believe that's how that happened. I moved my M3 commands back, and I've got my 57mm sneaky in the woods, but unfortunately, because they don't have any HE, they cannot do anything against this infantry, and I have no line of sight on this Stug over here. So he sneaks the Stug around, and he gets some shots on one of my M3 commands. The other one I'm able to get out of there at the same time as losing one of my machine guns. Over here on the left, I have a bunch of Thunderbolts that I've brought in. These are just the anti-aircraft ones, and I am trying to do something about his air superiority. So I have at this point already taken down one fighter. Unfortunately, we missed it. But now I'm just trying to get the rest of his fighters out of here. He's got quite a heavy presence in terms of infantry, and I was able to take that tank down. I did not actually see my who took that tank down. I missed that one. Oh, it must have been this 57mm gun, so that works. On this right flank, you can see he's definitely pushing pretty hard. This isn't the same individual. This is North Korean. He is pushing pretty hard with his infantry against our, who is this guy? This is Lord. Pushing pretty, is that Lord? Yeah, that's Lord. He's pushing really hard against Lord and doing quite a bit of damage to him. This is where I'm like, oh, 2 units of infantry, Rangers that they can't see. Let's turn off their guns and move them in. So this ends up turning out to work pretty well in my favor. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that. It's getting pretty quiet here. I'm starting to lose units very, very quickly, but he hasn't realized it, I don't think. Here we go with the Ranger Assaults, and burn, baby, burn. Look at that. Look at that. Those poor infantry, and they both surrender. So that was rather successful on the Assault Squad's part. And then, of course, he lost another unit of infantry right there. So focusing back over here, I have a bunch of infantry that I've pushed up. There's an infantry leader, another anti-aircraft, a M15, 2 of them. They have the 37mm, and then 2 50 cal, excuse me, 12.7mm, and then of course another anti-tank gun, which I think this is the 76, but it doesn't stick around too long and doesn't really find a lot of use. So I'm starting to load up this tree line, and smart play on his part. I think he knows what's going on here, because as you'll see in a minute, he makes me pay for it. So I've got my Ranger squad here, but I'm not paying attention to this at this point, so I actually don't even know what happens over here. Kind of keep an eye on it. It looks like he's, oh yeah, he'll be able to take these grenadiers out, or grenaders out, pretty easily. I'm still getting a whole bunch of mortars coming in, and now I'm pushing up a 203mm off-board artillery vehicle, so I can hopefully slow his advance, because now, as you can tell, he is definitely pushing on me. I don't have a lot of really strong units, at least I feel I don't, and this is hurting with all this artillery hitting me. So he also dumped out a whole bunch of anti-aircraft guns, and he's got some, so now he's got some pretty decent cover for my aircraft. So that's also causing me a little bit of trouble whenever he flies his in, because he pretty much is making mine fall back before I can even get there. So as you can see here, the mortars are just doing work to my infantry in this tree line, and he is now pushing, and he does a great job of pushing. Score-wise, because of our early push, we actually are up quite a bit. and they are just now taking enough terrain to, or enough of the front line to gain that +1 on us. So they are finally up to +1. I drop my offboard right here because I know there's these infantry pushing, and I'm hoping that I can push them back or destroy them. So let's see what's going over here with the rest of the guys. They're doing pretty well. Fortunately, we have, who is this? This is Lux Miz or something like that. He's doing the best, pushing the furthest up in the kind of center right flank. So that is definitely ensuring that we're not getting completely destroyed, because this push on me is starting to get rather difficult. Their artillery is really starting to do a number on me. You'll notice here all these little craters because they dropped another naval bombardment on me, and there he goes, 76mm gun gets destroyed. They are definitely putting in some work. I do hit them with a pretty decent naval bombardment, get quite a few of their guys. At least they're anti-aircraft, so that's helpful. I do have a machine gun pushing over here. I have an M8, M15, and then my anti-tank gun, which is still here, but unfortunately cannot see this stug. So I've got a command tank that I pushed up here, and I pushed him back here because I figured they're pushing infantry this way. If I keep him right in this general area, he can get shots on them and help him out pretty well. These rifles are doing a very good job of holding back the push, but it is inevitable with the amount of artillery that's coming in. On this right flank, I did end up losing these rifles. They were able to, or the assault squad, they were able to surrender one more unit and pin them. And then I have this M15 that's kind of doing some work on the rest of these guys over here. So we're trying to do something about their aircraft. I've got a pretty decent amount of aircraft and this big circle coming in here, which is why I'm kind of pushing this guy across. And then I bring this Rhino and another unit of assault, I think it's another assault squad, over. And then shortly we'll have a heavy machine gun come in as well. There he is, he's going to come in right there. So my M15 is running very, very low on ammunition, but I'm still trying to do some work to get rid of these grenadiers. Over here you can see he is just pushing with this infantry really, really hard, and it's causing me quite a bit of problems. I'm trying to get a heavy machine gun up. I should have dropped it back and left it right here, but I didn't. I have a unit of riflemen here, but as you'll see up close and personal, the heavy machine gun is not going to fare too well against all this infantry. And there it is. He does pin one, but there's another right next to him, and a mortar, or I'm sorry, a round from the what is that unit? That's a STUH comes in at 42, which that guy is doing some work. He's hitting my assault squad that I brought up, plus he was able to surrender, or make it possible to surrender, that heavy machine gun, and yes, causing me severe issues. So as you can tell, definitely losing my front line. They're pushing me back very, very well. The only thing that's kind of my saving grace, I guess, is these aircraft, which I think are keeping him back a little bit. And I do have a 105mm howitzer, which I'm kind of dropping some bombs here and there, but fortunately he does come in and get that fairly soon. So I bring the M3 over to the right side. I'm not quite sure why I did this. For some reason I thought it had a machine gun on it of some sort, but it didn't. And I'm dropping down my rifles leader. I should have pushed him up because he would have surrendered right there, but I didn't catch that. I could have surrendered both those units. That's too bad. I was trying to surrender them with the M203, but I believe because they either have a leader unit around or they're in their own territory, I can't surrender them, and my leader goes down. So he did push up this Pack 38, and my Rhino's trying to put a few shots into it, but that's not really working out too well. Yeah, I am hurting right now. So I am bringing in as much infantry as I can. I have a machine gunner and another leader. I've got some more off-board artillery that I want to push up and hopefully push them back with. And then of course a Rhino, an M4A1 Rhino. So I am barely holding the front line. If he would have known, he could have pushed on me very, very easily and done quite a bit of work. But, well, he didn't, luckily. I do have this machine gun here kind of holding off this flank, so they're not really going to get any further in there. But over here, they definitely could have pushed. All I have is this M15, which is out of ammo, holding this left flank. I have a heavy machine gun in this tree line. The Rhino, who has this road pretty well covered. A T-30, it's not looking good. But here come the reinforcements. So I push up a bunch of reinforcements into this tree line, and a bunch of these other ones are going to try and push into this tree line. And hopefully what I can do is stem his push and start to push back myself. Now on this left flank, he's got a Pak 38 that took out one of my vehicles and dropped these rifles right here. So I have to do something about that, and shortly I do end up doing something about that. I don't have any eyes up here right now, which was a big mistake. It was quite a while before I realized that my M8 was destroyed and I didn't have any eyes, so I needed to push up at least one. I probably should have grabbed one unit and tried to throw them over here and one over here somewhere, but I do have a unit of eyes coming in, a recon unit. My M15 is sitting right there for air cover. My ally over here is doing a pretty decent job of providing air cover. He has more than a few planes, and I've got my planes running around over here trying to help out. They had pushed in with a couple fighters, and so I sent some planes in to help them destroy those fighters. And I didn't really pay too much attention, but as you'll see, there was a pretty nice dogfight going on there. So I won't focus too much on that. Over here, my heavy machine gun has opened up on these grenadiers in oh no, these are grenadiers in the tree line, and I've got my infantry here, but you'll notice there's not quite as many units, and a lot of them are pinned down because that's right, he had a naval barrage hit this tree line right here and just crushed a lot of what I brought in. But I do the same to him, so take that. I drop a naval barrage there. And I think and I drop another one over there, but it's game over at that point. So that was a tough game. And the surprising thing is, number one, we came out with a minor victory. The second surprising thing was I was not as negative as I thought I would be. I had top kills on the team, which totally surprised me, and not top losses. So 2,968 to 3,150 losses. Although I was negative, I thought it was going to turn out a lot worse than that, because that was a pretty tough game, in my opinion. So they did have a couple pretty good players. North Korean was pretty negative, but Nevins, who was my direct opponent, he was rather positive. He did a pretty good job against me. And then, of course, Pugs, who I've actually seen in quite a few games, he did pretty well. Very well, actually, 3,800 to 2,200. So kills-wise, we have an M1 gun. Took out a, well, that's interesting. Took out a, must have got the vehicle it was in, a Jaeger unit and a Stug 3. The M7 did pretty good. Took out one of the leader units and a machine gun, heavy machine gun. The 107 mortar took out a Pak 40 and a unit of infantry. Those are the cheapo 10.1, so not that special. One of my P-47s did some work. An HS-129, ME-109, Focke-Wulf 190, ME-109, another Focke-Wulf, and Grenadiers. That is not too shabby at all. That's the MVP right there. And then two more of the P-47s also did work, taking out quite a few of their planes. Let's see, our heavy battery took out a Flak 38, not too shabby. And Flak 36, that's actually the good one, the Flak 36, 2 stars. And of course we have a rifleman unit which took out 2 units of grenadiers, and the M15 taking out pioneers and grenadiers. So overall, not too bad of a game. I'm actually pretty happy with the outcome compared to what I thought it was going to be. We did pull a minor victory out of it, just barely, because that push in the beginning was so crucial. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this video, and if you like it, you know what to do. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for plenty more like it. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day. Bye bye.